So, wisdom of embodiment. The first aspect of that, wisdom, is the ability to differentiate, to distinguish this from that. It's a very simple definition of wisdom. It doesn't sound brilliant, but it works. This from that. Differentiates. There's no judgment involved with that. Could add that to it, but it places things. But it gives things their place. Gives things their place, their own place. There's actually something really beautiful about that. Things are put in their own place. That's that. That's this. It's that differentiating quality. So you see, sometimes you see these presentations in the Buddha saying, well, this is the parts of the body, there's bones, there's sinews, there's blood, this is this. This is like a bag full of little bits and pieces, this. There it is, These are mind states, this is the mind state contracted, this is mind state open, this is the mind state affected by fear, the mind state affected by passion, the mind state luminous, this. And he's not saying, anything more than that, just placing things, putting things in their own place. That's quite respectful. Actually. There's kind of levels, puts things on the ground. This is the ground of being. These elemental properties on the ground of being. All things we can experience. Some we don't want to experience. Some we wish they were another way. We like the contracted mind to be the open mind, but how do those, placing things in their own place with respect, a mysterious thing that we didn't imagine. If you really distinguish and place things in their proper place, they start to change by themselves. Because we're a dynamic system. We're not actually lumps at all. We're kind of energies and they're shifting subtly, material, immaterial, psychological, emotional, neurological. So you put things in the right place, they continue their dynamic process. They start to find themselves. And the ones that have life and vitality will tend to grow. The ones that are sick and twisted tend to fall away. It's life. So putting things in the right place is very important, powerful thing to do. Because in that we can't say, put this in the corner, shove that over there, this I want on the top. Which is of course what we like to do. You have the nice good ones at the top, centre, everything else rubbish in the corner. But then there's adding something more to it, isn't there? And so things placed. What is their place? Place is in the place of open acceptance, field of being. And so a lot of our practice is just really sensing and opening all that. This is a dynamic quality, it's a living quality, it's a life quality, and it self-organizes. Okay, so you look around at a tree, a big tree like any of these big trees out there, a massive tree, and you look at where it came from. A little seed you could sit in the palm of your hand. How did that tree get in there? How did that massive tree come under that? That little seed. Who told which leaf where to go? Who had the plan? Put the leaf there, that leaf there. Somebody, God? So we imagine there's something outside that does it. No, it is innately intelligent. Its intelligence is woven into the material form. Yeah. So one of our, I'd say, our default problems is material thing is one thing, immaterial another thing. Actually, when you come into physically, you come into awareness of energetic awareness, you realize, no, they're just different ranges on the spectrum. Some energies are very dense, we call that material form. Some energies are moderately dense, we call those energies. Some are more open, emotions, some are quite ephemeral, subtle senses. So even in silence you can sense there's a kind of vibrancy there. It's still alive, it's not dead. There's potency to it. There's potency, which doesn't mean it has action. It means it has the certain intelligence, awareness. I think it's going to rise within that. So as we began with silence, it's auditory silence, but also mean a certain silence of the heart. A certain, maybe so. Silence of the heart is actually much deeper than just auditory silence. Silence of the heart, silence of the will, may it be so. That's big, isn't it, actually? And when that gesture can be undertaken, even for a few moments, what comes up? What does that potentize, allow to come into being? In fact, it's so potent that you have to contain it. So we bring it into to this embodied state. This is the home base. So I'm open to sense of the body, sensations, warmth, cool, firm, tickling, stirring, pleasant, unpleasant feeling. That which gives me the impression of having a body. And we look for the ground, the firmness, the groundedness. Sensing an uprightness, a sense of primary vitality, maybe sluggish, maybe painful, but a basic vitality, the grounded state, rhythm of breathing. Letting it happen, letting it organize itself, letting it feel itself. And within that experience, as it comes into alignment, as it does seem to, not struggling, not straining, as it is kind of becomes established, it's a quality of safety, comfort. Within that's actually a little seed. And it's not going to be everywhere. But as you turn towards that, there is a basic kind of resonance of feeling steadied. That's so enormous. Just that resonance, that sound, that sense. As you sense that, you begin to sense there is a way out of suffering. The potential for it. That's the seed from which the Bodhi tree can arise. And of course, within this, as we come into that, we can also sense the echoes, the twinges, the damages, the shocks, the struggles, the resistances. Just bringing those two together. Primary sympathy, goodwill, which means the willingness to be aware of that. So instead of changing it, forcing it, it's okay. So you place that quality, that primary quality, where's the right place for that? Where does that find itself? Well, it's in the center. That's its nature. Now, when one is very much associated with the sense consciousness, we look for a center. Is it somewhere beneath my navel, throat, the center of my body? We try to discern it in sensory terms, but it's not discernible in sensory terms. It doesn't operate on the same map. It's not located in space or time. Sense consciousness we're so used to that. With its sense of even the body, we keep associating it with this visual appearance. Where's the center of my body? Now, if that's a visual appearance. Where's the center of your felt body? Okay, well, where is the felt? How do you feel the felt body? And where in that place or that moment, because we have to use these words about space and time, but somewhere where the energies seem to steady, doesn't matter how big it is, avoid the measurements, there's rest. There's a sense of resting in that. And then, you keep bear that can't be anywhere else but the center. Because that's where the balance is. You can't balance on the left side, balance is central. Everything reaches it, therefore it's central. It can spread out in all directions, therefore it's central. It's the most important thing, therefore it's central. It's the most sustaining thing, therefore it's central. It's the one that doesn't leave you, but you leave it. It's central. It's like that. And you place that in the center of your priorities. Rest we have to put on hold. So, but within this, there is, say, the ability to be sympathetic. And what we're dealing with from that place, or from that position, or from that attitude, however you want to call it, is of course all the compounded stuff that happens, and essentially, the Buddha is saying you're dealing with suffering and non-suffering. Suffering, origin, ceasing of suffering, and then building a path to keep you on track with that. So ceasing of suffering can be just a moment of ease, and as that occurs, it may be that you begin to formulate a path to keep that in mind as we come into this sensory world, which does have space, time, forward, backward, choose this, go here, meet him, do that to her, build one of these, buy that, go there, and we're going to go through that with something that isn't located in space and time. It's just the primary awareness. How does that happen? This is why path is work, or growth. It's not, to keep us on track with that. And what takes us off track, of course, is suffering. The sense of something knocks you away. You feel disoriented. You feel closed. You feel shattered. You feel needy. You feel hungry. You feel lost. You feel insecure. And then it begins. I am this, I'm not this, I could be this, why am I this, how can I be that, why am I never this? People think I'm this, and this whole begins, this constellation of suffering. Which it seems so complex. All the issues and sub-issues that poignant, stirring, and yet, the simplification process for meditator is, what actually felt like? What's the feeling? What's the felt sense with that? And suffering, felt sense, painful, obviously, unpleasant, but felt sense is a little more than just feeling. Feeling really means disagreeable, agreeable. But there's a whole kind of energetic shift that occurs with suffering, which makes it different from pain and pleasure. It's not exactly the same as pain and pleasure, though pain will normally generate suffering. But it doesn't have to. The real nexus of suffering is an energetic shift. The energetic shift, close, cut off. That could be defense. I can't stand this, I shut down. Fear, shut off. Or betrayed, shut off. Alone, shut off. Close. Not as good as close. Well, these are the things that happen to us. So you find that as we call the primary wound is that close, and energetically. And of course in our life stories, our histories, there's plenty of it. It's powerful just how sensitive energetic system is sensitive to that. it can be, you get fired from your job. Actually, that's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as, say, somebody dies. That's bad. Or, somebody you trusted in betrays you. That's really bad. Because you opened and it closed. Something you had faith in and betrays, lets you down. That's much worse because you did open. And a lot of the time we live in a kind of, after a while, as a little being, you learn how to don't open too much because it's dangerous out there. So we live in a kind of tentatively open to maybe a few good things, but quite closed. Because it's defensive against this shock, this wounding effect. Like when you're a little one, I can remember, little one, you're with your mother says, I have to go now. You start crying. You don't know she's going to come back. All you see is this person walks out the door and the door closes. Having understood that, but what else are you going to do? It's not her, she has to go out sometime, but so this isn't reasonable or fair, it's just what happens. Or what if, you get sent away? And this is horrific. I know, people, like the English school system, so the parents send the child, the little boy, to a boarding school. Which boarding school means you stay in this school night and day for 3 months with a group of other kids, other boys. So your parents say, well, you go there to this place and you live there. And it looks okay, your food, lodging, teachers. But you're cut off. And it gets very brutal, those places. Because everybody's on some level experiencing that wound and harden. And then the hardening effect, you start to bash each other around. Boys start fighting each other, bullying each other, bashing each other around. Because somehow this shock system, when you close, what can happen is you kind of fight, okay? So you get incredible scenarios of bullying and brutalization of little boys, and that becomes, now you've become a man. All that sensitivity's gone, you can't beat people, and that's it, you're good. You can fight and kill. And so that isn't even with any intention to do that, but just the energetic effect of that. So, even negotiating contact, and even a sense of withdrawing from contact, a sense of, okay, we handle that quite carefully, and entering contact. So, it's not just dismissed. So even in that, when you're practicing, you take attention to even carefully negotiate this respect. And certainly I see this in however artificial it can get, at least the gestures in monastic training. When you enter a place, you bow, you make an offering, flowers or something, here I am, entering, sense of opening to another person, you open up. When you leave, again, you please, if anything, I'm to leave, ask forgiveness for anything we need to talk about. So this kind of gentle leaving rather than out the door, bomb, gone. With that thing. So, just because in the energetic system, it's not a thought. I could, intellectually I can completely understand it, right? But energetically, there's still that sense of, and the separation. So the Buddha says separation is this experience. Now, physically, of course, we are separate, but energetically, the sense of has to be handled very carefully, because this can give rise to that sense of closure and then suffering. Of course, a lot of experience. This is why relationship is so difficult, frankly. Beautiful, but difficult. Not easy. Not casual. And certainly, my own experience of relationships. So certainly, as a young man, you have friends and you have girlfriends and so forth, and it's pretty just tumble in, fumble in, crash out. God, it's disastrous. Whatever kind of good feeling might have happened, there was no real respect. Because we see a word like respect sounds so kind of cold and formal and artificial, but it really means, your place there and space between, and how we handle that, so we're not, and that really is primary love, is that, really. Prime basis of it is that sense of respect, to permission to you to find your place, and I find my place, and we see what happens as we meet each other, It's not kind of where we tend to assume, well, if we love each other, we're going to kind of clam together. Hold tight, and then what happens? And then that kind of the separation is messy, and you think, oh no, never again. Oh, broken, so broken-hearted. Never again. And somebody says, oh, how are you feeling? Oh, I feel rotten. Oh, she's nice. Same thing happens. After all, I just can't handle this. Just don't know how to moderate, that feeling. Because that desire or that wish for non-separation is so powerful, But then we kind of assume that it means non-separation on the physical level, or on the visual level, like. But that isn't possible. It isn't even certainly not possible, and it's not even really, the best, because it's always going to be. The energetics are the most important thing. That's the only thing that can really blend. You can't blend physically. It's not getting down to intimate details, but but there can be an energetic kind of meeting and harmony and resonance, and it's beautiful. And even the kind of sense of, physical separation, you can still sense you don't feel shut off, let down, dumped. It's still there. Heart is still there. And that's possible for humans, certainly. We can love very, very thoroughly and very beautifully. That sympathy can resonate across even the dead, because it's not located in space and time, and the Buddha put this word deathless there for us to consider. The deathless. What's that? Well, just keep the word there. Just see what what dies, and what changes and places, and what remains. Just keep checking in with that. So this primary wound, and it's kind of it's there. It's also built in. Remember, we're not talking about, although we can locate events in history. You see, there's a kind of, in that ground of being, you have primary patterns. So one of the patterns is that shock, and every now and then something will trigger that shock again. You know, the same shocking effect will occur. That sense of exclusion could be, you know, whenever I go travel a lot, I go through immigration a lot, the borders, and you know, this is the place where for no reason they just look in your eye and say no. Sometimes, occasionally they do, and you know, there's no way, and you know, people are waiting to meet you like 50 meters away, and that closed, isn't it? When I was in Singapore and I hadn't filled in the proper form, filled in some form, you know. So, looks at the form, what's this? I said, what's this? This gloved hand comes up, sweeps away. Away where? Just away. So fortunately I was with somebody who could make some phone calls and start to pull things together, you know, but that, in a way it's just the immigration procedure, but you still feel that sense of closed. You know, another human being has done that to me. You know. So something like that, you're doing that shock effect. And so it can occur any ways, you know. She's getting attention, I'm not getting attention. I feel jealous. Because of what? I'm left out. He's sitting in the front, I'm sitting at the back. I'm left out. And you look at it, it's ridiculous. We can't all sit on the same spot. Physically it's not possible. So we kind of did try and deal with this experience, and there's okay. If that's how it feels, that's how it feels. It's not stupid, silly. That's how it feels. No, just get to that. That's the suffering, dukkha, and you know, there's the craving, which is the craving that this identity form could actually. You know, find unity, become complete, become the centre. It can't. It's not the centre. Yeah, our life has made it the centre. Our historical life has made it the centre. It can't be the centre. So therefore I am at the back of the room. I want to be in the front. I'm in the middle of the room. I like to be the side. I'm up here. Everybody looking at me, I like to be back there. You know, whatever way you want to do it. So we're always in different positions, aren't we? And everyone, you can say, well, I'm different, therefore. Separation. That's, everybody's this. You know? So it's also that experience is, you know, it's universal. So even, you know, I found being a leader of community, you're shut out. I mean, people, not consciously, but just, you walk into them, everybody shuts up, everybody goes quiet. you're different. That sense of the suffering of that. Even if you're getting, praised or whatever, still closed. You can't merge. So that's nothing brutal. That's just, the way it goes, really. So, who's to blame? Yeah, it's actually, although it's understandable, really, it's an inadequate response to suffering. Best response to suffering is come back to the center, release what are called the aggregates. And if you're not familiar with those, I don't really want to go into a whole detailed analysis of it, but basically all the manifestations of thought, percept, feeling, body, energy, sensations, all that. And the complexities of mind and memory and mood. To open to that, that's not the center, although it becomes the center. Most of us, well, I'm sure we all, even if we understand this intellectually, life more or less says, pushes that to the center. Both life and society, of course. And jobs, of course. And particularly Western, because here the Western form tends to be the individual. So competitive performance, individual. So all your manifestations of your thought, your body, your mood, your ability to speak, your intelligence, your physical strength, whatever, all that becomes paramount importance. That's who you are. You better get it right. That's what you have. You've got to be good at it. Because that's the center of your life. And it isn't. It's the center of your suffering. Not just yours. All of us. So, our great compassion practice is to hold that, to bear with that, to breathe through that, to sympathize with that. So the craving, tanha, is that push that keeps pushing for feeling to be satisfactory, for body to be satisfactory, for thought to be satisfactory, for identity to be satisfactory. And it isn't. And it says, well, just have another one. Or change it, it'll be better. Tweak it, fiddle it, it'll be satisfactory. And it isn't. And craving is this kind of blind, because if you don't know the center, we desperately have to orient, even a cell orients itself into alignment so as it can grow. We have no choice. We will orient. We will orient around what's experience. We have to, otherwise we'd be completely mad. But what we orient around is sight, sounds, thoughts, memories, opinions, views, attitudes. And we orient around all that. What else can you do? Well, if you know the center, you orient around that. And that's a small phrase, big practice. Doesn't mean we dismiss everything else. No, everything else has its place. Definitely has its place, respectful place. But center is a center. Identity, thoughts, feelings, relate. Place in the right place, relationship will occur. because there's a relationship is like an energetic transmission. So as you place a thought as there, as that, or an emotion as there or that, or a sensation as there and that, rather than just in a dismissive way, it's not there and that, get out of my life, but there and that, and how am I with that? How's that to be with that? And with a sense of non-blame, non-criticism, non-fear, non-comparison, non-guilt. Remove, and then the resonance can occur, and the energies can, the distressed thought can feel held, and it starts to settle. The stressed body begins to settle. It doesn't happen in a second, but it gradually begins to settle because the healing of relationship. When a relationship is proper, that center, then the energy it heals things, heals the wound. There is a cessation of suffering. Through, we could say, another way of expressing non-identification with. Non-identification with is that, what's a non-identification? Yeah, it's true, but what's that mean? Don't identify with being human and being a man. What does that mean? Identify. It means, it means something, but energetically it means it becomes central. It's extremely self-conscious, even slightly fearful, wants to expand and fill everything, wants to be the center. And then, feels that kind of inflation, not even positive inflation, some inflation of fear. Everybody's looking at me, I have something wrong with me, I'm not the same as everybody else, I'm closing. That's identification. It's not always a happy experience, by any means. So it's not, why? So that kind of pulling is based on this craving to make something central, settled, grounded, which isn't. And it can be related to, and again we can say, oh, come on, settle down, come on, quieten down. Look, stop that silly mood. Grow up. You're a big boy now. Stop it. Yeah, boarding school again. I didn't go to boarding school, incidentally, but I know people who did. Huge effect. And then the effect of the whole kind of performance, self-conscious, you're on your own, get a good job, better get on top grade so you can be an individual success. And you'll be independent. You'll be able to manage everything yourself. You'll be independent, successful, miserable. But, no real friend, no real easy sense in existence. The ease is gone. So particularly Western culture tends to, for good reasons, yes, it's good to, everyone gets a chance to be exactly who they are and find them with their own clothes and find their own life. And yeah, great. But, the missing piece is, yeah, sure, but most important thing to do that, yeah, please live your own life. But most important thing is find your own center within that. what really allows you to stay in that center as you let this body, mind, thought, intelligence operate. You operate it, but you don't make something out of it. Well, that's a skill of path, isn't it? That's a skill of path. You've got to operate through this world of space, time, people, things, events, sickness, getting your resources together. You've got to operate through that, and it becomes so central that you lose the center. And this is deeply sad to me, the kind of the stressing that goes on because of our driven society. Where people have to put so much of their awareness, intelligence, just into kind of getting a job. So that becomes the center of your life. You were born to work. That reason for existence is to work. I don't know, spot welding or building cars or fixing people's teeth. Something that was the whole purpose of being a human being. I mean, it's not bad. It's just like it doesn't have to consume you utterly. And the nature of our money-driven society is that's exactly what's asked. They want all of you. And then whatever you're exhausted, you can throw you out and you crash out somewhere. They'll have a few beers and get over it and back to work the next day. So everything else peripheral. So, right livelihood, right path is a fine thing, a beautiful thing, a fine thing. And, but really look at when we talk about livelihood, what keeps you lively? And you can be very energetic without being alive. They call it the dead fish in the washing machine. Moving really fast but dead. So, really try, if we have the chance, to come to a more organic, I move where my love goes. Is that possible? I move where my love goes, my interest, my energy goes, where I feel alive, where I feel, okay, if you love fixing people's teeth, great, wonderful, But do it from that place. And the ability to, that's enough, then livelihood. So, these of course are questions that no one can answer for you, feeling your way. But my sense is the center, that will be your guide. Real, that quiet, that steady, secure place. Anything that's taking you away from that, you don't want it. It'd be better to be poor than to sacrifice that. Anything taken away from that wouldn't. I'd be concerned. So, this of course can be long-term topics, but really to get back to the intimacy of the retreat, our most important beginning of this practice, can we experience just using this, our own body as a place to feel, to begin to get that sympathetic resonance through this embodied experience. And it's not just the physical, it's the energetic. Feel tired, feel sick. Okay? Is meditation only for healthy people? You have a certain phase of experience where you're really full of vigor, and that's a percentage, and other times you're not. That's the way it is. So, you want to be aware, develop it. You want to also be aware of the bad times, sick times, the dull times without aversion, shame, guilt, fear, regret, something wrong with me. It's what the aggregates do. They go through those waves. The form, feeling, perception, energies, they go through that. But be there with that. There's a saying, well, you're going to feel great when you die. You're going to feel in top form. Sharp, clear, focused, happy, confident. No. So, this is what's going to happen for all of us. We're all going to get sick, old, forgetful, rickety, so forth. Feeling, I can't keep up with the rest. I'm too old. Can't do what I used to. I'm finished and too old. Can't remember, so haven't got the not good enough closure. Old age, suffering. Or it could be there's a chance to go quieter, gentler, be with that. And the beauty shines through. It means we have to, of course, also include, the low, the flat, and not experience it as a closure, not to get that shock. So when we, cultivate, we have meditation retreat, formal practice, really awareness, cultivation of awareness is all day, all time, all place, all situation. Not to decry this is our kind of grounding form, finding center, but then of course, if you just freeze it into that, it's going to be a hothouse plant, You can't survive outside. It's got to be something that can also, apprehend and manage, the less than primary situations. As example of the samanas, you look in the suttas, well, these people out there in the jungle, rags, bit of alms food, no zafus. Quite a few of them say, we often mention so-and-so's miserably sick, and they say, how are you doing? He says, my pains are racking, miserable, my head is splitting. Oh, bear up with it. So clearly he was not always in optimal conditions, and even dying, and mosquitoes, insects, poor food, practicing and getting liberated within that. Didn't have kind of, nice clean places to live. It's out in that. So, not saying we have to do that, but just it's an emblem to recognise find your safe place, and can it reach, sympathise. It's not, instead of closing against the disagreeable, or even expecting to like it, don't like it. But I can experience some quality of patience, compassion for that. Nobody likes it all the time. But, to really embrace our experience, not a small thing. Say it again, center, and this can be done within this body. Because within that. This is where the energies really can be felt and centralized, and the shocking and the resonances and the shiftings in, nervous system, you could say that. Okay, if you want to give it an anatomy, but the felt sense. So just a reminder, though we can keep assuming the body is just the physical thing. So as you're cultivating in that rather quieter way, the sensing feeling, sense the mental tone. The mental tone. Does it feel withdrawn? Does it feel frozen? Does it feel jangly? Does it feel sinking? Does it feel vibrant? Contemplate them, get to the mental tone, and let your center touch the mental tone. And incidentally, interesting enough, if you go from the central place and you access what seems to be the mental tone, it will actually shift your body. Things will release, things will open. Through, rather than forcing the tissues, just go into the mental tone and practice with that, and that will bring around the changes whereby one comes back into alignment. So pause there for today, and if you want to take ventilate a bit, then when everybody's ready, we can show you some Qigong.